afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here and see so many great tables, some very interesting ones. And so I'm going to start off with the Burmese table. There's an item on here that is worth talking about, I think, from a production standpoint, and that's this candy box that's right in the middle that has the knob struck pink. That was a nightmare. If you'll notice this particular one, the pink is actually off-centered from the knob. What they would try to do is that they would get the ball of glass, cool it down, and then with a torch or a little burner, they would try and burn that spot to get the red spot area. Then they would take it over and try to center that red spot that they struck in the middle of the mold for the lid and blow it out. So this particular one was slightly off center when they blew it out. I think it was such a problem that by the end of the production run of the year, we didn't try and strike them at all. We painted them when we got them to decorate. Is that, you remember that the same way, Dave? Yes. Yeah, that was a real challenge, and the bottom is not struck at all because it's made unfinished, so it's just blown and then taken to the finishing department. But we want to step in here and have comment on some of the others that you can.
I was going to say that. I'm a fan of the shiny Burmese, and so the tall, elegant vase with the beautiful lady painted on in the back, and then there's a wild rose and donut vase over on the left-hand side that really catch my eye. I really like the shiny Burmese.
That's an indication that she is not representative of the world. That's okay, I'm the same way. The other interesting production piece there is the diamond optic fairy light here that is cut up and, well, the bottom is knocked off in hot metal and then it's refinished, and the top is knocked off in hot metal and then refinished and turned upside down. Again, very interesting piece to make.
The other, if you're going to talk about production pieces, the dolphin was one too, because getting it struck and trying to get the color and trying to get it to keep its shape and not lop over and not go to one side and not go to the other side. So that one looks great compared to some of the ones we got. Okay.
Although I also like that shiny piece in the back with the lady painted on it. It's very nice.
So does that mean you're out there too?
Yeah.
So the piece that I think we have disagreement between George and Max on a piece on this table. It's the bell, the temple bell's bell, and I can verify because I was there when it was sampled that this, well, the rest of this is Mongolian green. That was when we were trying to make malachite, and we didn't even have that mold when we made Mongolian green. We did not have the temple bell mold.
So is that a Berlin mold? Because most of the malachite that I've seen was in the Berlin molds.
No, the bell is not a Berlin mold. Frank had a box that he had purchased. It was a covered box, and he actually, so his covered box wasn't the same, but we ended up making a covered box and the bell from that pattern.
And the interesting thing about these colors, they all have have fluorine as their base, which strikes white as you cool it and reheat it. So that's why you get so much variation from the bottom of the piece to the top, and the swirls as you gather the glass and drop it in and make it. I think that's one of the things that creates the beauty for this color.
And the most difficult pieces for them to make, and to make them look like they belong to the rest of it, are the blown temple jars with the black lids on top. Because anything that's blown doesn't want to have the striations in it and all the coolness of it that you think of for these fluorine-based colors. And I would just really love to take home the whole mandarin red part. just 1/3 of the table.
I know there was a question about the decoration on the 547 fan base. Wondering if that was Otto Gertler done. No, Otto was, his paints didn't look that color. His paints were totally different, and even today they're still very vibrant, where this is more of a, what I'd call a muted. That's not typical of Otto. And you've still got a little bit of work to do. I know whose table this is. You've still got a little bit of work to do on the black bases. Underneath the ginger jars, it takes a 6-toed base. They have a little insert that you put in there and made the big wide toe, 2 little ones. And those are hard to come by. Those are very difficult to come by.
And all 3 of these colors were invented by Jacob Rosenthal.
Beautiful bowl. I like that way, the way that bowl back there, that mandarin bowl. That's just, that's color I like. Yeah, you think, okay, door prizes, you can take part of it, I take part, okay. We just call that our labor agreement for the day? Okay, I'm good with that.
And in several, and certainly in the blue, you've got a mixture of old pieces and new pieces. And I think also in the mandarin. So you can see some consistency through the time periods.
Beautifully done, but just to think about how you had to make them, how you had to paint them, for the difference, just the difference in how the black had to be in the shading. So you did a beautiful job.
So we're going to guess how you did them and tell everybody so they can copy you. Is that okay? Or do you want me to keep that a secret?
That's the way.
So it's really a multi-layered effect. If you take this particular one, and I'm taking a risk here because she may tell me I'm all wet. But the first thing she did was to put a mask down to cover up the base color here so that the shiny iridized milk glass would show through to the final piece. Then she painted all over with the purple, and then sandblasted through the purple color to various depths to get it to be dark purple or light purple, and then added in some of the pieces, not this one I could see, little paintings of gold. Very creative and very unique. And was I right?
Nope.
Nope? Good.
Where's the black? You didn't even discuss the black.
Well, okay, but I was thinking,
that's-
I was thinking the purple,
That's
but
the
yeah.
deepest.
Absolutely gorgeous.
So, good. So you can keep your secret and we can talk about it. But they're very well done.
You'll be able to leave faster.
I really like the stylized vase. It's very neat, very nice.
They're just, you have an awful lot of talent. To be able to get into this when you did, how did you come up with the blanks that you worked on?
Just Facebook and eBay.
Well done.
Yeah, people who know me know I like cameo and sand carving and stuff, and I really like some of the designs that you put on the that figurine egg with the, yeah, that's really, really, really nice. I really like that. Some of the monochromatic, what I call monochromatic, like where the white vase in the background, and then there's a blue overlay back there where you've just taken and sand carved. That's really pretty nice and really subtle. Not easy to do, I don't think. I don't do it, so I don't know, but I assume it's not easy. But yeah, the under the sea motif on the one vase there in the back on the right hand side, I've always been a fan of that type of motif.
A lot of it. Intricacy in your Egyptian piece.
It's my favorite.
Your favorite, Dr.? I can see why.
So this is really a story of mold making as much as it is anything else. The ability to make the patterns and the shapes and have them released from the mold is an art in itself, both from the designer standpoint and from the mold maker standpoint. And I think the thing that distinguishes our figurines from most of those that are in the marketplace is the coggle joint, which is irregular from one point to the other. Makes it much more difficult to maintain the mold, but it makes a much more attractive piece.
That's why, they can have their heads turned and they can have, their arms up and just, they can have much more personality. This also is for me, a testimony, brings back so many memories of working with John Saffle. He was an amazing sculptor. I mean, he truly was an amazing sculptor. I think I've told you before that when we interviewed him, he brought his portfolio from Fostoria, and it was nice. It had nice things in it, but they were made for being crystal, and they were all very stiff looking. There were no figurines. It was just vases, maybe some glasses, and so we asked him. I said, "Do you have anything that you've just done for yourself? Something that you've designed or made that's just you?" And so he said, well, yeah, and he kind of tentatively gave us his personal notebook, and we went through it and were totally blown away. He had done sculptures of his granddaughter Alyssa and his grandson Dax, who George now plays basketball with. Dax is one big guy. Anyway, but they were little children at the time, and it grabbed our hearts. And some of the other sculptures he had done, and that's what made us say, oh man, we have to have this guy work with us. And we were so excited. He had the biggest office, and he needed the biggest office, because there were always collectors, employees, there were always people coming to see John and find out what he was doing that day. It was perfect.
And he was also a great person in terms of sales and presentations. We would, at our sales meetings each year, we would set up displays for the various books, maybe 5 or 6 of them, sort of like this, only, there'd be milk glass here and purple and so on. And then each of us would give a presentation to the sales reps on what was unique and what was new and what were the prices and the designs and the history and all that. And John was always one of those presenters once he came, and he was excellent at it. He prepared very well and did a great job in that as well.
He had a great sense of humor.
I remember, just from a collector standpoint, Max and I had an opportunity to have lunch with him in the hospitality room one time, and he was funny and engaging and shared lots of things with us. And we had caught up with him later in the afternoon, and he actually signed a couple of those little kind of plastic mold pieces for us, and we just treasure those.
unfortunately, he passed away spring and, or really, I guess it was right summer, and I did go to his service, and to see the number of people there and the line was just staggering. And to hear, there were no stories about him as a designer. Nobody talked about him in that way. They talked about him as all the things he'd done for his community, the fact that he'd been mayor, his faith, his being a father and grandfather. It was wonderful because it was a whole other side of knowing John. All right, Max.
And we need permission, or would like to have permission from the owner. Can we step across there because there's one ivy ball we really want to see? Okay. Ooh.
Red Slag, Ivy Wall, sample 1964.
So how are you thinking, I'm thinking about the chemicals that we
Patriot Red.
Possibly.
usually
This is really a deep dark red bordering on brown, and then it's got lighter, kind of yellowy, reddish swirls through it, like the mandarin, only it's very, very dark.
When we were looking at it back here, I couldn't tell whether it was translucent or whether it was opaque.
Lorianne, is your camera set up if we brought it over there that we could fire it up?
Yeah. Wow.
Would you be willing to run that over, George, or would you like me to?
Yeah,
This is-
we got longer legs, you get there quicker.
Yeah, this is really a phenomenal, interesting looking sample piece.
Yeah, and it's got sample tags and stuff. It's got sample tags and stuff on the bottom underneath that stand.
If you know what chemicals go into the red slag and the mandarin red, and you know what chemicals go into the colors that turn purple, you would think you couldn't get there from here. So that was fascinating, that it didn't turn completely sludge brown or sort of a greenish yellow.
Another interesting thing about the ivy balls is the stand that has kind of the chip. I wonder if we're interacting with the speaker up here. I'm just gonna stand over here. Hopefully that helps. The stand that comes down and it's got kind of a teardrop and diamond pattern on it. That was also used for other comports. Don't look at me, look up there. It has, it's used on other comports. It's used on some of the comports from the 1950s, where it's like the open C pattern or the backward C pattern. It's used on many other things. In fact, we had found a comport and we weren't entirely sure because the top part was not something we recognized. And I said, that's the Fenton ivy ball stem. And the footing and the stem is so distinctive that we knew right away that it was a Fenton piece. And we went back and looked in our book and then we recognized the top. But that stem is so very distinctive with the teardrop and diamond pattern. Are you guys able to see the color very well on there?
It's really hard to see, but beautiful piece.
So it's absolutely phenomenal. Are you gonna drop some more light in there, George? Good idea.
Yeah, the ivy balls, there are some collectors for those, and it's tough to get. There's a few out there that are very strange, like this one. And there'll be another one.
Yeah.
Sunday morning, you'll get to see a different one down there.
There you go. Now you can see those swirls.
Yeah, look at that.
If you come to our seminar tomorrow morning, we have one that's considered unusual. It's got a black stem and then a plain white sphere at the top.
It's like
So thank you, Becky Ann, I assume that's yours?
Yes.
Thank you very much for letting us manhandle it and share it more personally.
Just wipe the drool off.
And thank you, Lori, and for firing up your camera. But it's interesting too to note that not all of the ivy balls have a stem. Some of them are separate two-piece items, and they have a ball and then a diamond-shaped base. And a lot of those, especially the green ones on a green base, were made for the Rainbow Art Company. And they were where, Huntington or Charleston, West Virginia.
Yeah, they were close to
Huntington. So we have a couple of the green on green sets, and we are actively looking for a white diamond base.
I see some.
You see some? Yeah. See, now that would be my door prize.
The ruby with the chimney still on top has not been cut off. That's kind of unusual. Always like to find stuff that somehow didn't get cut off.
But it just looks like a hurricane lamp.
Yeah.
Yep. And the other less common one too on the table is the one with the small dots, the polka dot one with the crystal stem.
The baby dot. Yeah. Right.
Yes. Okay. Okay, we're gonna move on to the next one. Okay, I love this mold shape. It was originally a Northwood mold, and yet when Fenton got the mold, it wasn't really used much pre-logo. The colonial green on the back right at about 2 o'clock they did a line and they did vases and pictures, and I've seen it in real life now in green and in amber. Did they do it in colonial blue? It was colonial green, colonial amber. Was there a colonial blue? Do you know?
You're asking the wrong person.
Okay. Because I've only seen it in amber and green.
I remember seeing it, those were the sixties catalogs.
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing it, the sixties catalogs.
Okay.
That they made for somebody else.
Okay. Since none of us can remember seeing them in those 60s catalogs, the question is, did we make the pictures for somebody else, or why were they made?
I know that I've seen it on a Fenton catalog page. But I just don't remember if it was done in the colonial blue. And I love that black one, way straight back 12 o'clock.
Yeah, the handle on the black one's different than the others because it has a reeded handle, and it comes up what I'd call mid-waist, where in the green one that she was talking about, the handle it attaches at the bottom, but it doesn't come all the way to the top. There are several different handle configurations there that I think they were playing with too.
So you can see the variety of the squirrels, and if you've got good enough eyes, I had to walk up to it, you can read about all the different colors. My favorite is the figurine, in terms of the way the coloring turned out on that was very nice. Making figurine in figurine was always difficult because the figurine color would sort of burn where it got too hot. So ears and things like that that stick out tend to be a little rough and gray as opposed to the golds and the blues that are on the rest of the figurine.
I had no idea there were that many flavors of squirrels.
You just go to our
It's really
backyard,
cute.
we've got that many.
Okay, I'm gonna try to talk about this too. If you enjoy or hate listening to me talk, you could blame Dave Rash for some of it. He taught me a lot. We belong to the same Fit Finders Club. And one of the greatest compliments he ever gave me, Dave would show up to a meeting with something, and it was really rare. And then that told me that's what I needed to be looking for. And then I'd go out, and the next time we had a meeting, I'd show up with one. And I'd done that to him about 2 or 3 different times. And he came to me and he said, how is it that I show up with something really rare, and the next meeting we have, you show up with it in a much rarer color? I said, that's because you're teaching me, Dave. You're teaching me. And so I learned a lot. I considered him one of my great mentors. And the other one, of course, was your dad. Dave was a good man, good friend. And of course, Linda is part of that whole family. But to the glass, the mandarin box in the front is very pretty in that orangey flame type color. I knew Dave had quite a few of these, but some of these I'd not seen. The metal lid is very unusual. I don't think I've ever seen another one with a metal lid. The crystal Ming is very, very odd, very unusual. I've never seen a full black cigarette box, because the ruby one's got, I assume that looks like a black lid. That's very unusual. And then how many elephant bottles do you see, let alone colorful? Especially with their stoppers. That's just wild and unusual as far as I'm concerned. So
I take a lot of pride in the fact that I was able to sell him his jade cigarette box. Tom Smith had sold me a jade cigarette box, and Dave was a little out of sorts. Hey, how come you got that? I said, 'cause I'm a girl, Dave. And he took a little bit of edge to that, and so when we found another jade cigarette box, I said to him, Dave, I got a cigarette box for you, and you can have it for the very same price that Tom sold me mine. And he said, that's really nice of you, and so he bought that one for me. And so that makes me really smile to see that on the table here. I don't know if you guys heard Nancy, but she said he was a great educator. I want to make sure that everybody hears that.
I want to find out more about yellow geese. It's our typical, either we called it Vaseline or we called it topaz or whatever. But what's interesting about it is the flecks of unmelted batch that's in it, which is like the colors we made, the translucent colors, the jade colors, and so that's the only piece I've ever seen that has that same. It's there.
I didn't know if that was in the glass or if that was a surface treatment that had been done.
It's in the glass.
It's in the glass, okay.
And it was given to the person who has this table by Ron Dick, so, okay.
Yeah. Which he would have been working on when we were making those formulas. So the question for us is, were we going to make a yellow jade color as well? And how did this come about?
And I'm trying to remember, there's something flickering in the back of my brain about us making a special order for somebody who was doing blasting, and it was a blasting cover of some kind. And I don't, Dave, do you remember anything about that? About that yellow triangular dish here, where at one point I thought we did a special order for someone who was going to use them in as a blasting cover of some kind. Yeah, probably was a special order. So. And then the other education thing here is all the different Fenton logos over the years and stickers.
Yeah, to find, these have all obviously been blown up, but to find some of these stickers out in the wild still on a piece is really, really difficult. And of course, everybody knows that the turquoise piece up there with the Karnak vining on it, that's kind of been my fallback. That's right in my backyard. That's what I love and have collected over the years. But I think the young lady who's responsible for all these labels, she's come to us a couple of times and asked, hey, do you know where I can get a picture of this or that or whatever? And I'm going to guess that we're responsible for a couple of those pictures. Yeah. And of course, it's nice to see the old factory there, both the original and the final factory entrance.
We only have one.
Yeah, I only have the one.
So that would be your door prize
Yeah,
then?
no, my door prize is back over there. The high standard comport over here on the right hand side, that's another nice piece. The cuttings on the pictures with the blue handles, those are tough, and to have glasses with them is equally tough. So. And
I was gonna say my favorite piece on the table is the small cigarette boxes in the front here. You would have thought it'd be on the cigarette box table, but it's Grecian gold, and it's the floral cut cigarette box. And it's got a border, and it looks as though it has the letter K on it, but it's more of just an angular cutting. We were very lucky just recently to also find in another color to find a cigarette box with that floral cutting with the K border on it. It's a very hard cigarette box to find in any color. It's very difficult to find. It'll be here tomorrow morning if you'd like to see it at 9 o'clock. It's interesting too to see the 649, the 10-inch candlesticks with both the black foot and the Persian pearl foot.
And Max talked about the variation of color, and sometimes the carnival glass collectors give these different variations different names, as if it was purposeful. But I'm in agreement with Max that it wasn't purposeful, it's just the way it happened. It was just the normal variation of the handmade process.
And I think it's interesting to look at the marigold spray on the 2 dolphin candy boxes, one that was done shortly before the factory closed, and the one that was done much earlier. When we were able to reinvent the marigold spray.
I don't know, I'm guessing this is Sharon and Alan's table. Are you guys here? Would it be okay if we went in and got it to hold it up? George, can we task you with that? I tried that. Yeah. It's got the same little round face. Oh, yeah, very much the same. to my eye, it looks as though it has kind of a sparrow's face, and then it's got these great big majestic wings.
We were not very successful when it came to sculpting eagles. We made many more molds for eagles than we ever did for the cow for the nativity set though. We just kept trying and trying. And so the taller ones that are here in the front were all from Dermot Allen, an English sculptor, crazy young man that came to live with us, or came to work with us for a while. So we tried selling it as an eagle and nobody believed it. Then we tried selling it as a falcon, nobody believed that. So I'm amazed that there are many different iterations of it on this table. I wouldn't have thought. But the painted pillow bases in the back, oh my goodness, those are amazing.
Question.
Yes.
George might know. Was the eagle mold reworked from the bird of prey mold?
Yes.
That's kind of what I figured, because at first we thought we were getting, you know, like the double bird of prey, and then we opened it up, whoa, this is different.
Yeah. We asked John to try to redo it, and I think he did an incredible job, but it still wasn't what we would like to have seen.
Sharon and Ellen, what can you tell us about the blue birds on the or the crystal birds on the blue pedestals in the center?
They're bookends.
Okay.
They are imperial, originally were imperial, I believe,
Okay.
and they do have the Fenton logo on them. So
Okay.
they're Fenton.
Okay, thank you.
The imperial logo is on it also.
Oh, that's interesting.
They were made for the imperial collectors, because I bought a set out of the Blue Ridge room.
Thank you.
Great.
Mhm.
So what other animals were you saying you copied from other places? Are there any other animals that you know? Like, for example, I've seen a Goebel ceramic bird that looks a whole lot like the bird from the 70s, that time frame.
The fox was the stylized fox was like a Flamborough piece that Tony had picked up. There's the UNESCO doll.
I'm pretty sure the bear was the candle.
Yeah, the bear was a candle.
Was the mouse also a candle? Because I found so many candles in that.
Pardon?
Was the mouse also a candle?
It might have been.
I found so many candles in that mouse.
All right, thank you very much.
Hey y'all, thanks for watching my video. Be sure to like and subscribe. See you again soon.